And everyone, welcome back to the Monarch's Tribunal. Wow, I completely spaced what game we're talking about.
Okay.
Okay,
I don't know if you have a rule or
Skyrim.
anything. Yeah. I was gonna say I don't know if you're one of those people that has the rule where people aren't supposed to talk before they're introduced. But hi, I'm Justin Hamm. There, I'll introduce myself. I'm good at it.
Justin
Um,
Hamm of Stage Select. Wait,
yes, of
it is
stage
Stage Select.
select and
I almost said
yes, you
still
got it.
loading. I did
Well,
the same thing with with Julian last time. It's like I almost introduced it as still still loading.
yeah. Well, it's the stage select because I think there's something else named stage select. I'm not even sure anymore. But yeah, I'm from that. Hi. Yeah, we're gonna talk about Skyrim, I guess, because that's a game I played a lot of. Yeah, and also, yeah, I don't know if you have that rule of not talking until you're introduced, but I've always found that a nonsense rule, and I break it every chance I get. So here we are.
I have determined I just have no rules on this show. It's whatever happens,
Fine.
happens.
Great. Excellent. Perfect. I'm in a good place then.
But it's like the only real stipulation on the show for anyone who's coming into this for the first time is my guest and I generally have somewhat of a different view or came into the game we're talking about in a different
Sure.
way. Not necessarily that like one likes or hates it, but
Yeah. Well, I've played a lot of hours of Skyrim, so I can go just about any way you want on that. I mean, or we could just not talk about Skyrim, and we can talk about my new conspiracy theory about Nelly Furtado's "I'm Like a Bird" being about birds not being real, um, which is a real conspiracy theory, by the way, that people for some reason have, and I'm convincing myself now that that is a song about birds not being real.
See, I knew about the
I mean,
conspiracy. I did not know people connected that song to the conspiracy.
oh,
That's a
they
new
don't.
one.
Oh, they don't. Oh, they don't.
Oh.
I'm starting it right now, right here. You heard it here first. That's what that song's about. She's the one that started it. It does say in the song, "I'm like a bird. I'll only fly away. I don't know where my soul is because birds aren't real, and I don't know where my home is because they have to erase the memory when they go back to whatever government building is watching them." That's my assumption. I didn't listen to the rest of the lyrics because all lyrics are nonsense, but here we are.
I mean,
Anyway,
I'll go with
Skyrim.
it. I'm convinced.
All right, I'm glad. There are. I'm trying to think of. There are some birds in Skyrim. Not as many as you'd think. It's weird.
I'm trying to think now. Have I ever seen a bird in Skyrim?
That's a great question. I think there are birds. There are hawks. I think that are naturally in Skyrim, but that's it, and they are only in a couple places here and there, I believe. Yeah, because you have to add a mod to actually add birds, and then it screws up a lot of stuff because it's an old mod. So I don't recommend it. Anyway, yeah, Skyrim.
Now, I got a
Where do you want to
question.
start?
Elder Scrolls in general, how long have you
Mm.
been on board with this franchise?
Oh, let's see. The first time I played one of those, Elder Scrolls game, was when the original Xbox came out, and right or maybe not when it came out, but when Morrowind came out. A friend of mine at the time was very into it. I believe he had played it on PC and he was just like talking it up nonstop. Like, oh my God, in Morrowind, you can just go anywhere, do whatever you want. It's crazy. And I was like, okay, all right, this sounds neat. Because I always wanted like a really like open world RPG type thing because I thought that would be cool. Because I was I really liked GTA and shit like that at the time. He was building that thing up, and I was like, okay. And then I didn't get to play it for probably about a year after that, even after it came out. But I watched other people play a lot of it because I didn't have an Xbox. And then later on, I bought an Xbox, and then when I played, I've never beaten Morrowind. I don't even think I've gotten that far into the main quest of Morrowind because mostly what I did was I would just travel around from town to town and just steal everything that wasn't nailed down. And that's an Elder Scrolls tradition for me for a long time. Skyrim might be the only Elder Scrolls game I've actually finished, and I've only finished it for as many hours as I have, and I'm actually going to look that up right now while we're talking. How many hours do I have in Skyrim? I'm going to have to do some math because I have to add what we call in the business old rim to it. But I believe, let's see, 728 for special edition, 1,117.7 hours for regular. So, roughly almost, and that's not counting Xbox, which is probably another couple hundred hours. So it's probably a good, 2,000 hours somewhere around in there.
You have probably played
Yeah.
more Skyrim than I have played the entirety of any Elder Scrolls game, like all together. I have 68 hours on Steam for Skyrim.
Hey, that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine.
Probably add like another 30 to 40 because I forget the system it launched on when I played it.
Right.
Whichever PlayStation system came out on.
Yeah, it was on PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. It dropped 2011. That's how I always remember it. That was their big thing. It'll be all ones. That's cool, right? Like, I guess it's fine.
Sure.
At least it's memorable. But yeah, here's a funny story. I didn't hate Skyrim when it came out, but it wasn't I liked Oblivion a lot more than I liked Skyrim when it came out. And the reason I have so many hours in Skyrim is mostly because of modding. I've probably started more new games and thrown them in the trash than people have, I don't know, changed their shirts sometimes. I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with that. But that's a lot of what I do in that game is just so I know the opening of the game really, really well. I know a lot of other stuff. I've played through a lot of the guilds multiple times, but I tend to start a character and go, this is what this character is going to do. And then they do that stuff and I'm like, okay, new character. And then I just start over because I'm weird. Skyrim's an interesting one. I didn't care for it the first time I played it. Well, that's strong. I didn't hate it. It was missing stuff that Oblivion had, right? There's a lot of stuff in Oblivion, like you could create your own spells and you could leveling up was different. You had to select a class in Oblivion and all this other stuff. Same with Morrowind. And I thought that stuff was really cool. Skyrim got rid of that in order to kind of be a little bit more mainstream and pick up and play for, people that weren't into that sort of thing. And I was into that sort of thing, so I was like, "What the hell is this?" It's a little weird. That's my opening gambit for Skyrim is that I was really lukewarm on it when it came out. Have I grown on it over the years? Yes and no. Mostly I have because modding is wild in that game, but I'll get into that later probably. And that's where my fun comes in. It really becomes be my own game dev to some degree.
I actually kind of started my first Elder Scrolls in a very similar way. Like I had the friend, he just was all over how great Morrowind was.
Yes.
I played it on his Xbox. I'm like, I don't get this. This is boring the absolute shit out of me.
Right.
What is wrong with you, man?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's fair. Like I said, I was really intrigued by Morrowind, but I'll be the first to tell you, the combat in Morrowind leaves a lot to be desired. Really a lot of Bethesda games have a combat problem. I don't mind Fallout and stuff like that. Those are okay. When it comes to swinging a sword in Skyrim and Elder Scrolls games, a lot of the times, it feels like you're kind of swinging at air every now and then, and you're not really connecting. Which has always been a thing, especially Morrowind. Morrowind was especially bad for that. But I could definitely see the boring angle of that. I have a vivid imagination sometimes, so I would. This is Oblivion, and it isn't even my game. The types of things that my friend and I would do, and this is a different friend. This isn't the guy that introduced. The guy who introduced us played it kind of boring. I won't lie. Fine. I was. Listen, I smoked a lot of pot at that time, so whatever. I was watching, whatever happened. It was fine. I was having a good time. But my friend, he started a playthrough in Oblivion, and his entire thing was, listen, all I'm gonna do is box everybody in this game. All I'm gonna do. So he leveled up his hand-to-hand skill, and he would just go around and just start picking fights with everybody and just boxing them. And he named his character Bo Jackson, and Bo was throwing some blows, let me tell you. Then we learned the item duplication trick, And so he would start fights and then duplicate a bunch of pumpkins in the room. And when you do that, it will fill up the entire room. Your frame rate will absolutely die. It will feel like you have broken everything. Then the guards will try to get to you. The game was, can the guards get to me if I keep spawning pumpkins in? And we did this for days, just days. But yeah, these games a lot of the times are like, well, how deep is your imagination and what kind of character do you want to be? It's a little like, it's a little D&D in that realm. But yeah, I could definitely see the boring angle for sure.
I couldn't really describe why I thought like the Morrowind and Oblivion were boring, because that was so long ago I tried those games, and
Yeah.
I don't remember them. Skyrim, though, I did kind of like it when I first played it. I'm not a huge fan of it, but obviously I have it on Steam, so I bought it a second time.
Yeah, that's how they get you.
I thought it had a great opening. Like, that opening hooks you.
It's a good opening. Yeah, it is a good opening. It's probably, I don't know. Oblivion's is a little bit better, I think. Personally, I think Oblivion's has the best opening. But Skyrim's opening is good. Don't get me wrong. With the dragon showing up and you're about to, get your head chopped off. And when I first played that, I didn't know you had an option between who you wanted to, roll with in the opening. Like, I always just thought it was like, no, it's just you follow this guy and that's it. But no, you can follow the guy that you've been chained up with, or the Empire guy. Good old Hadvar the Gentle. Oh man, he's a gentleman. I think that's his maybe his actual name. I'm not 100% sure. I know he's Hadvar. Hadvar and Reloff. Oh boy, and they both live in Riverwood. Well, one of them, no, they don't live in Riverwood, but their families do, and that's where you're going. But yeah. It's a good intro. It really is. I don't know if it's as good as Oblivion's. Oblivion has Patrick Stewart, man. That goes a long way.
that does help.
Yeah, it does. Like it's like Patrick Stewart gives this elaborate speech, and then you break out of prison, and he's like, "Yo, I had a dream about you, man." And you're like, "Oh, all right, cool." And then you go through the sewers, and then he gets murdered, and you're trying to it's kind of cool. I always liked Oblivion's opening. Morrowind's is boring as shit. The only cool thing that happens in Morrowind's opening is, I think you get off it's been so long since I played Morrowind. You get off a boat, and then like you start walking down the road, and like a dude will fall from the sky, which I always liked. That is one of the things that Skyrim leaves out of the older games, is some of the like more wonky shit that you could do. I don't think there's flying in Skyrim, but that's always the funny part of that opening, when the guy falls from the sky in Morrowind. He has the scroll right there. You can fly too. You can do exactly what he did.
Okay, I do remember that.
Yes, you can absolutely use that scroll, or I can't remember if it's a scroll or a potion right now, but yeah, you can absolutely do that. But you've seen how it ends, and it's gonna end that way for you if you do it right now. But because you need the spell to actually land, which is kind of a neat little touch, right?
Wasn't there also something similar with a potion of breathing underwater you find on a guy underwater, but it's only like a few seconds?
Yeah, that could be. I wouldn't doubt it. Yeah, I absolutely wouldn't doubt it. That's one they've had in just about all of them. Yeah. Is the underwater potions. But yeah, that's they like their environmental storytelling, Bethesda. They're hit and miss on it a lot of times. Sometimes it's really cheesy, like, "Ooh, there's a skeleton in this room. Oh man." And you're like, "Okay, all right, guys, calm down." But sometimes they really knock it out of the park with some of it.
Oh, I remember one time, like, I should not have been this angry at Skyrim for this, but I don't know how common the term is, but I've heard it referred to as, like, the Bethesda exit, where you get to the end of the dungeon and there's, like, this sudden shortcut right outside.
Yes.
One of the dungeons, I could not tell you which, I leave through the Bethesda exit, and I thought, I was like, this whole dungeon could have been circumvented with a ladder. I jumped down, and underneath the snow is a ladder.
Yeah.
Right there. I'm like, are you fucking with me right now? I was so mad at the game for like an hour.
Oh yeah. Some of them are made to, some of the dungeons, depending on which one it is, are made to be gone into through either way. some of them are like actually just passages through like mountains and stuff like that. It's kind of weird.
I mean, to be
But
fair, that
yeah,
ladder you couldn't interact with. It was just under the snow, but it was right
oh, okay.
there.
I
Like,
got you.
you
I got you.
literally could have
That
just
might have
grabbed the
been
ladder and stood it up, and you could have been at the end of
honestly.
the dungeon.
Honestly, that probably was the joke. Yeah, you could have gotten in here, but somebody kicked over this ladder. So go fuck yourself. Yeah, that's it.
I mean, if that was the intended joke, good on you, Bethesda. You got me. You got under my skin
They
there.
did get you. They did get you. But yeah, the opening's really good, or it's good enough.
I like the
You go.
opening a lot just because without directly telling you anything, Roloff immediately gives you an idea of like the Nord culture, why it is the Stormcloaks are even fighting. It does a
Yes,
very
yes.
good job at that, and more than the last two games, that got me at least invested in the plot of the
Right.
game.
The ongoing civil war is always a big topic of discussion in there too, and they really introduce you to that like very quickly. Like you're under arrest because like some shit happened with the civil war. Like the Stormcloaks attacked somewhere, but they got ambushed, and you were just happened to be there, but you're not supposed to be there. They're gonna execute you anyway because the Empire's kind of in a state right now. So, it introduces you to a lot of like the weird the climate of the world, right? And I always love how as the game progresses, you start to learn more. Immediately you're like, okay, well the Stormcloaks seem like the good guys. The Empire's doing some wild shit right now. They were just gonna chop my head off for whatever reason. But then you get to, the Stormcloak capital, which is Windhelm. And then and immediately it's just like dudes being racist. And you're like, oh, great. Okay. Now I see where we're okay. So this is a thing, which is the whole Skyrim is for the Nords shit. And that doesn't end because then you're like, okay, well, how's it going in the Empire? Like, all right, maybe they're the good, and then you go up there and then they're over there chopping some dude's head off, which that's one of my favorite scenes in actually the whole game. I don't know if you ever went to Solitude. I'm sure you have. Solitude opens with a scene with a man getting executed. His name is oh shit. I can't believe I'm gonna blank on this man's name right now. Anyway, he's gonna get executed because he opened the door for Ulfric Stormcloak to walk in and kill the High King of Skyrim. I have seen this scene a billion times because here's a modding story for you. At one point, I was playing. What was it? I was playing the old Rim, which is original Skyrim, not special edition. I had put some kind of mod on there that changed NPCs around, and whenever I would get to Solitude, and I was trying to, this was a bug I was trying to fix, and I never could fix it. Whenever I would get to Solitude, that scene would play out. Everybody would do their dialogue, but nobody would do anything. So it was just everybody just being mad at each other, but they would just keep standing there and nothing would happen. So I know that dialogue almost by heart. And so hearing the dialogue and like kind of knowing there's one character that always stands out in my mind, and she's actually one of my favorite characters that I wish they would have given more to because I find her intriguing. Her name's Vivian. And basically, she's kind of a bitch. She just is. She shows up. There's a kid. It's her uncle that's going to get Rogvir. That's his name. Her uncle Rogvir is about to get executed, and she's like, they can't kill him. Tell him he didn't do it. And the guy's sending him home. And Vivian shows up. He's like, let her watch it. Like fuck it. And I'm like, all right, that's pretty cold blooded. But she's right in a way. I maybe don't make the kid watch it, but she's right. That kid's everybody's gonna know that's the stigma's on that kid forever. Like they're all gonna know that her uncle Rogvir fucking kind of caused the civil war in Skyrim, although that's also debatable. But yeah, I love that scene. I don't know why. Most of the time, I'm like, no, Rogvir fucked up. He deserves this. I don't like. It's supposed to be this like really bloody display. I need to get out of the way right now. I'm an Empire man through and through. They have their problems. All right, they have their problems, but I'm always an Empire guy. Never been a big Stormcloak fan. I can't get over the racism. Just something about it. Just like these. I don't know, guys. I don't know. Also, there is subtle dialogue. The real bad guys of the game are the Thalmor, who are the High Elves. They're all kind of dressed in black, sort of, and they are basically High Elf Nazis. Like that is kind of what they were made around. and the more you learn about them, the more like stuff they do. There's one bit of writing in it somewhere, and I can't ever remember. I know know which mission it is. It's one of the main story missions. You go in and I can't remember exactly where it is, but you kind of learn that Ulfric Stormcloak is kind of he's not it's hard to say, and it's heavily debatable, I guess, that if Ulfric Stormcloak is a Thalmor agent or not, but he's definitely being cheered on by the Thalmor to weaken the Empire, if that makes sense. There's a lot going on in Skyrim. It's a whole thing.
This is my recollection of that, because it's one of the grimoires you find when you infiltrate the embassy. I remember because this is another thing in the story that started to piss me off. I'll get to why in a second, but you break in.
Oh, go ahead.
I forget why you break into the place. That's not really important, but you find this random book where it's like, yeah, Ulfric's definitely not an agent, but he's being funded by the Thalmor. Now he has this whole plan, kill the Emperor. Like, you have the evidence, just you can't show anybody. I did this before any of the Civil War stuff, and I'm like, I have this in my hand. I could just show this to anybody I want.
Right.
You're not gonna let me game. You give me this.
Well,
and I can do nothing with it.
Listen, man, we wrote this whole thing. We can't just have you skipping around and doing weird shit, okay? This isn't Dungeons and Dragons, all right? We have a way we want it to go. I know there are certain parts of like we built this open world thing where you can do anything you want, and it's like, but I have a solution that's outside the box. Nope. Shut up. You're not doing that.
Is this even that outside of a box solution?
No, not really. No, not really.
Like, maybe the steps I would take after that might be a little out of the box. Like, I'd have taken that to the Empire. Like, look, we're getting all of this funding from the Thalmor. Let's just let Ulfric win and just take the money. No one has to die, and we have all of this funding.
Sure. At the same time, well, they can't just let him win.
Yeah, because he wants to kill the Emperor. He wants to kill the High King and whatnot.
There's a lot. He wants to become High King of Skyrim. There's a whole lot of stuff. Like, from their perspective, they can't let him win, right? There's also the fact that let's say they did your solution, right? I'm just to play devil's advocate. I'm very good at playing devil's advocate. So just to play devil's advocate here, let's say that we did your solution, right? And we showed, here's the evidence that the Thalmor are funding this guy. I don't think it changes much because he was going to do this either way, like whether he's funded by them or not. This is what this guy's into. Yeah. He's where the money's coming from, it's kind of irrelevant. Like, yeah, they're going to give him money because they won't. It's in their interest. It's it's kind of similar to global politics, I guess. Like, oh yeah, we will give some weapons to that country. That's fine, but keep our names out of it. It's fine. It's kind of that similar thing. And yeah, okay. So we know where the money's coming from. It's like, okay, but it doesn't really change anything because they're gonna be like, we don't care. We just want fucking Skyrim back. Like they are headstrong on that. Like that's they don't give a shit.
I don't know. I think with Ulfric, it just starts to fall apart when you realize his plan is because it's who is it? The Emperor of everything. Skyrim's part of like this coalition with other places.
Uriel. It's one of the septums.
Uriel Septim. I think you're right, but.
Yeah.
He wants to use, like, the Dark Brotherhood to assassinate the actual Emperor and take that spot, too. But the Dark Brotherhood's in shambles, so his entire plan relies on you happening to decide to join the Dark Brotherhood by sheer coincidence.
So I can't remember if that is that his plan? That he's going to get the Dark... Is he the one that hires the Dark Brotherhood? Okay, cool.
Unless I'm remembering this entirely wrong, but I remember coming to that conclusion and thinking he's an idiot.
You might be right. I'm not 100% sure if that's ever like 100% confirmed who has you kill the Empire or Emperor, because if I remember correctly, because it could be anybody. There's a lot of people that want the Emperor dead. I guess it would just depend on if Ulfric wants to go ahead and, I guess, execute his plan that way. That doesn't seem like a thing that he would do. The Dark Brotherhood, like who does the Black Sacrament in the Dark Brotherhood, which is the thing that gets the Night Mother to tell people who to kill. It's a whole thing. They're basically assassins. They're an assassins
Yeah.
guild. Let's just be frank. If you don't know who the Dark Brotherhood is, there's also always a lot of debate on who actually is trying to have these people murdered. And one of my favorites with them isn't even the Emperor one. That's kind of like the big tip off point for that faction is the Emperor murder. But the one that I love the most actually is there's a character and his name is Narfi. He's just a dude. He's I wouldn't describe him as homeless because he has a house. But when you go and meet Narfi, you realize he's in a bit of a bad way. He's definitely has some, not great mental health stuff going on, and he may be a little, how to put it kindly, a little neurodivergent is a good way, I guess, to put that. And and but somebody wants Narfi dead. And it's a fascinating thing when you actually stop and think about who would want him dead. Because Narfi, if you talk to him before that, is trying to find his sister. And it's a whole quest line. It's kind of like a short but sweet thing. Basically, it's supposed to lead you to like a little dungeon that's right outside of Iverstad. You meet Narfi and you go, I can't find my sister. She went to go pick flowers somewhere and she never came back. So then you start going around town like, hey, have you seen this person? They're like, look, I told them not to go to this place, blah, blah, blah. But there's like a whole like weird love triangle thing going on. And then you end up on this place where she was supposed to be. And you don't, if I remember right, I don't even know if you you never find her body, for sure. But you kind of assume because like you go there and there's like bad guy, there's like, I want to say there's just like drugger or something out there that tries to kill you, and you're like, okay, this is probably what happened to them, right? But there's a whole video on this that I'm gonna shout out. There's a guy named Camel on YouTube who does a lot of like looking into, I guess, Bethesda's environmental storytelling, and he went so far in depth on like who could have actually wanted to get Narfi killed to the point where he was like, one theory is that it was his sister. His sister like didn't want Narfi out there suffering, and so she, called the Dark Brotherhood to go and have him assassinated. Essentially, it could be that. You never. It's kind of always a question as to who wants these people dead. Sometimes it's pretty obvious, and sometimes it's not, which I always find fun. I always like the mystery shit that people have put together. I guess I'll keep going with that aspect. There's one of my other favorite conundrums in the game, a character named Sadia. You ever met Sadia?
That name is so familiar.
Okay,
There's so many names in Skyrim.
There's a lot of names in Skyrim. Sadly, I know just about all of them if I stop and think about it for like 2 minutes, right? That's what happens when you mod these things. You start to get really familiar with people's names in the game. After you become the Dragonborn, and you go to leave Whiterun, right? There's the Alakir, which are from the guys from Hammerfell, the Redguard guys, and they're like looking for someone in town, and they're looking for Sadia essentially, and they describe her, and you go to the inn, and you go, hey, there's some guys looking for you. She's in the Bannered Mare in Whiterun. So you go there, and she's sitting there, and she's like, all right, that's crazy. Come follow me. And then she pulls a knife on you, and she's like, hey, listen. I'm not who I say I am. I'm pretending to be this person. So I'm on the lam, so to speak. I'm actually the princess of Hammer. She describes herself as a princess of Hammerfell or something like that.
Okay, I know who you're talking about now.
Yeah. It's a bit of a quest, and then she sends you to go to this cave, and you're like, okay, all right. So if what you that they're looking for me, you're gonna have to go break this guy out of jail. He'll tell you where they're at. So he tells you where they're at. You go to this cave. I actually could just walk there most of the time. I'm just like, yeah, I know where they're at. It's fine. I don't need to do all that. Although I don't think the quest triggers unless you do all that. It doesn't matter. You go in the cave, you fight a bunch of bandits. For some reason, these bandits are just in this cave. Like, don't worry about the guys in the back. I think if you wait long enough, they'll mention it or something like that. It's been a little bit since I've messed with this quest. But you get all the way to the back, and there's a bunch of Alakir warriors, and they're all lined up, and they're all ready to beat the shit out of you. The guy goes, all right, all right, all right, everybody calm the fuck down. I know what happened here. You got sent here by here. Let me tell you what's actually going on. I'm sure she said a bunch of stuff, right? And you're like, yeah, she did. Okay. And he gives you this whole thing like, no, no, no. This is who she really is. She sold us out to the Thalmor. And so now you're left with a decision. Do you want to kill these guys and believe Sadia? Or do you want to, believe them and go get Sadia arrested by them? It's one of those things that the more you know the lore and look into it, which when it comes to the real deep lore, I don't know that much. I'm going to be real honest, but like, it's fun that like, it's made to be a quest that doesn't have a right answer. But if you really, really look at it, it actually does. And the things that Sadia says don't actually add up. And so like what she's saying is just like absolutely insane when you actually really, really break it down. And I would suggest going and watching a camel video if you're very interested in that. I can't remember the name of the video off the top of my head, but it's a great watch. And that's the kind of stuff I like. They do a lot of these like morality quests like this, but like there is actually a right answer to that. But not a canon right answer, I guess. But like maybe down the road in another game they'll be like, no, Sadia was bullshitting you. Yeah, you did the right thing getting her arrested. It's hard to say. Skyrim, there's a lot of shit in Skyrim, man.
I find myself in an odd spot with Skyrim because I mentioned earlier, like I really like that intro.
Yeah.
The more I played like the actual main story, I'm like, they did so much to just make me not care about the plot.
Yeah, no.
I don't like the Stormcloaks. I don't like the Empire. I don't like the Thalmor. I'm just kind of sitting there like, you know what? Let them all fight it out amongst themselves. I want no part of any of this. I just want to deal with the dragons.
Right.
And then the dragons end up not being that interesting either.
They're really not, actually. You're gonna be shocked, and I'm sorry if I'm breaking the rule of your show, but I sort of agree with you on some of that. Like I said, I have a lot of hours in this game, but it's not because I've only beaten the main quest once, and for the exact reasons that you've said. I don't find it that intriguing. The only thing I do find intriguing out of the main quest is another moral dilemma when you get to Parthenax. He's the dragon man voiced by Charles Martinet. The moral conundrum there is that, look, you're part of the Blades now, and the Blades do not want any dragons. You got to kill all the dragons. But Parthenax is a good dragon. He's helping me do all this stuff. He's a nice guy. What are we doing here? Just let him sit at the top of the mountain and be cool. It's fine. He's not doing the Mario voice. Nobody's being hurt. It's fine. And so that's kind of like the one moral thing that's like, after you've beaten Alduin and all that stuff, that they kind of like, okay, you gonna kill Parthenax or not? And most of the time I'm like, no, fuck the Blades, man. I don't give a shit about them. When it comes to the main quest, I'm kind of right there with you. I've only finished it one time. I've played it a bunch of times. I don't find it that intriguing. And that's kind of a sad part of it. And yeah, that's really all I got for that.
I'll say there's something about the lore of Skyrim that I feel was such a big letdown. Like, I love the idea when you start to learn about the dragon language and why dragons can't use the dragon wrench shout. Sure. Because dragons knowing the words is like fundamental to their being. Right. It's not like me saying, I hate you. Like, if they know hate becomes part of their existence. That's an interesting idea, and you're going around learning all of these different words, taking their powers into yourself, and you're like, alright, doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't affect your decisions. You can still just do whatever you want, no matter. It doesn't affect your dialogue, optional choices.
Right.
That was such a huge chunk of interesting and fascinating lore, just to justify why Parthenax couldn't just tell you what the stupid shout was.
Right, yeah. Yeah, pretty much. And yeah, the dragons there's something. Again, I spend so much time when I'm running around Skyrim avoiding Bleak Falls Barrow like the plague because I just don't want to deal with them. I find them more annoying than anything. So I'm just like, we'll eventually do all that. I'm not gonna mess with them right now.
I'm the Dragonborn without dealing with the dragons. It's so much better.
Yeah, actually, my favorite mod. One of my favorite mods, and it doesn't really work very well anymore, sadly. I wish some of my favorite like playthroughs were like you could mod it to where you weren't the Dragonborn anymore. Every now and then the dialogue would get weird because they'd call you the Dragonborn, but it was like, but a lot of them would like edit all that stuff out. Like any reference to Dragonborn, nobody's gonna call you that. You're just a dude. You're just a dude walking around Skyrim. You want to get involved in the Civil War? Cool. You want to be the Thieves Guild guy? That's great too. But like, you're not the Dragonborn. You're not special. I always kind of like loved that. See, that's my favorite type of stuff. Like, no, I would like to just be like a dude running around in the world, and then like suddenly dragons appear, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? That's kind of neat. But yeah, being the Dragonborn it's fine. I don't know exactly what they could have done differently though, admittedly, when I really stop and think about like what, like when you say you would like that stuff to affect your decisions, what specifically, how specifically would you like that to happen? I'm curious actually.
The most basic way I think might have worked is something again like additional dialogue options, or maybe even if depending on what shouts you take it in, locking you out of certain choices. Like maybe you've just taken on so much angry, hateful shouts, you can't just give a calm, rational answer to certain things anymore.
That would be interesting. That would be pretty cool.
But that take away from being able to do whatever you want whenever you want. And
right.
We can't have that in an Elder Scrolls game.
No. And that's kind of where it all boils down. At a certain point, you have to, make an open world game that people can do whatever in. And so that kind of becomes the problem, I guess.
Not too much whatever though, because we can't veer off the main plot rails too much.
Right. Well, I mean, you can. Like I said, you can leave that main plot just dangling. Yeah, like I like half the time I'm just like, all right, peace, guys. I'm gonna go mess around with the Thieves Guild stuff and do all that.
I guess not part of the next. What's the actual villain dragon name?
Alduin.
I guess Alduin's just winning now because I ain't getting involved.
He's just gonna win. There's see this is my I love video games. Period. And one of my favorite video game things is what I call magical video game time, where everything is in real life, right? This would just keep going, and if you weren't doing anything, you would just everybody would be dead. Like the plot would go on. You'd screw everybody over essentially. But because we're in a magical video game time, yeah, you want to just go, do whatever. Okay, yeah, sure. Everybody will pause. They'll go golfing. It's okay. Don't worry about it. All right, cool. Yeah, no, I'm gonna go mess around with murdering people over here. That sound okay? Yeah. No, that's good.
I will say some games it breaks your suspension a little more than others.
Sure,
and Cyberpunk.
I agree, and I admire when a game goes, "Hey, what are you doing? No, stop doing this shit. There's stuff going on. You gotta like." I enjoy a time limit, but at the same time, like I will always have a fondness for like I said, magical video game time. I've loved it in every Final Fantasy game I played. Oh yeah, the world's about to end. It's right there. Like, but let me go fight these weapons real quick. I gotta do some leveling up real quick. I know Sephiroth's right there. I know, but hold on a second. I gotta go get this Earth Harp and all this shit. Yeah, like I love that. Yes, it's stupid, but I adore it. Like I play video games to relax for the most part. So when somebody's like, yeah, no, take your time, it's fine, don't worry about it. I adore that. I really get into that.
It's certainly game by game for me, but by and large, I enjoy it. Yeah, like, I couldn't see Skyrim trying to force me into the main plot.
Right? Oh, imagine if it did have a time limit, and you had to do all this stuff, and by the end of you had this many days to do it. Like it was almost like a Majora's Mask type situation. Like, hey, if you got 3 months, you better be on this main quest or everything, or you're gonna have to start the game over. You like how stressful it would be, and B just like, okay, I guess we'll do. We'll go to Riften and go in the little thing. Oh, there's the Thieves Guild, but I can't talk to them right now. I can't do this. I gotta go get this main quest. Like it'd be this race. You would start doing the main quest just to get it over with, and that's not good, right? Like that's a bad feeling. So there's something to that.
There actually is a
The old.
series of games that did that for a while. The Atelier games.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. I've never played those. I've always seen them, but
Do you
that's
like to
cool. That's it.
craft?
I don't like to craft. Actually, I hate crafting. So okay, all right,
Avoid
I'm out
Atelier
already.
like the plague. But
Yeah.
how it handled it is it's turn-based RPG, but you have your little atelier where you can craft. Your actions take X amount of time.
Okay.
So it's not like a actual clock, but traveling outside of town so far will take so many days. Spending the time gathering materials and fighting monsters starts to build up the time. So you're kind of managing what you have to do to get stuff done by certain time frames.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Very fascinating if you're really into like the management side of games like this. But
right. Well, there's also, to add to that, there's also the Persona games, which have, day by day. At the end of this month, you got to beat this dungeon or the game is over. There's also XCOM. XCOM is like that. It's very much hey, all this stuff takes time, and while it's taking time, things are getting attacked, and slowly you are losing unless you go do this thing, and you better be ready for it. And that, you constantly on your toes about it. So it's not a new concept, but it is one I would like to see more of. There's room for all these games.
Yeah. I will say one of my favorite things in Persona 3, 4, and 5 was immediately thinking, okay, how can I find some way to hang out in this dungeon on this night for an absurd amount of time, way beyond what the game intended you to do?
Right.
So I can do all of this and have an incredible amount of time to just do social links.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the hustle in that game, man. I've done the same thing, man. Yeah, it's great. Of course, yeah, you'll always try to think of a way to, get around it and kind of outsmart the game. That's just gamer brain. These things happen. I'm the same way. It's a fascinating concept. I couldn't imagine in a game like Elder Scrolls because they're very afraid of you missing stuff, or like they're not afraid of you so much missing stuff, but like they want you to be like, okay, go do whatever you want to do. That's the whole thing. Sometimes they nail it and sometimes they don't. Yeah, Starfield was a game that existed. I'm actually higher on Starfield than some people are. It was fine. I think that game's not to derail. That game's biggest flaw is when you get to the end, then it's like, okay, do it again, and I'm like, no, actually, I'm actually okay on that. They got it in their head that well, people play these games over and over and over again. It's like, yeah, but they're just starting new games and starting new characters and doing it that way. They're not just playing the same character. I mean, some people are for sure, but like Bethesda's biggest thing that they're still trying to figure out is why do people keep playing our games for hundreds and hundreds of hours? And they can't quite figure it out. And a lot of it is like the modding community and stuff like that. The amount of new games I've started in Skyrim, as I mentioned before, is staggering. And a lot of it comes down to like, oh hey, there's this like combat mod that just turns Skyrim into Dark Souls. Yeah, okay. I got to start a new game for that. Okay, yeah, let's go. Let's do it. All right, I'm down. Let's try this out. And the number of hours just like going like, what would happen if I like just tried to play the game as a merchant, which was one of my favorite things that I tried to do. I modded the game to where I was like, no, I'm a blacksmith. I live in Whiterun and I am selling shit, bro. That's what I'm out here to do. So like, Adrienne, move over. I got to use your forge for a while. It's fine. And then I think I can't remember what the name of the mod was, but it let you just like set stuff on like a blanket and sell it to people and they'd come and buy it. And I was like, I'm having a great time. This is so relaxing and stupid that I'm just having a really good time right with this. And these are the reasons why people play these games. Yes, they're big, they're vast, and you can kind of do whatever. There's a push and pull, I guess, high and low of the Bethesda engine. It is very problematic. It is very buggy, but it's made to where people can have learned it and can easily add to it. And they, give you the tools to do that. And people have done insane stuff with that. The amount of like innovation that's there is nuts sometimes. And it'll be stuff that like, I don't know how good you are with stuff like this, but like it's stuff that like people like me are like look at and like, I don't even know what the fuck you're talking about, but it sounds cool. Uh, and all this other stuff requires it. Great. All right, awesome.
I'm horrible
And
with it. I have determined I absolutely hate coding.
coding? Oh
Any
yeah.
kind
It,
of it drives me
I
up a
I
wall.
I couldn't imagine it, dude. Like, yeah, no, I'm right there with you. I couldn't imagine doing it. I'm a simple man. I can't do all that. I can troubleshoot like a motherfucker. I'm real good at troubleshooting, and that's why I like modding because it's constantly like, let me add stuff until it breaks, and then I'll fix it and I'll figure out what's going on, and that's the game. Playing game dev and fixing my own bugs. Sometimes I fix them, sometimes I don't. But yeah, like that's just it. And then Bethesda will go, well, hey guys, we're gonna add like some mods that you can just buy, and everybody's like, no, that's awful. Why would you do that? That sounds really terrible. But then you have like really prominent and I get it because there's a part of these people spend a lot of time on this stuff, and a part of them goes, well, yeah, if I can get paid to do that, that'd be pretty great. There's a lot going on with all that.
I will say I'm a little sad because there is a mod I want for Skyrim
Hmm.
that it will never exist unless I make it because no one
Okay,
would ever do this. I don't know if you
spill it.
know about the Canadian rapper Chuggo.
Okay, I do not know about Chuggo.
He is one of the worst rappers I've ever heard in my life.
Oh, great.
But
Okay,
he's the
good.
exact level of awful that is beyond hilarious. And all I want is for that
Well, I'm
mod that
into that.
shouts insults to just have random lines from Chuggo's songs.
You probably would have to make that.
I mean, just imagine
But
you throw that sign down and suddenly you hear a guy goes, "Your mom's box smells like a muskrat."
oh
Like,
yeah. Oh
what?
no, it's good.
Or,
What's fun
"Come
is
on,
what's
fucking
fun is
guy." It's so bad.
oh, that sounds bad. It sounds good though. See, what's funny is I know like the exact framework you could use to probably do it. There's like a player voice framework that where I believe all you have to do is add audio files and stuff like that, and you can kind of make your own. You'd have to look it up, but and you could probably just replace them. I bet you could do it, and I bet it wouldn't be as hard as you think it is. It's kind of crazy sometimes. Sometimes you when you think of modding, you're like, I gotta know coding and all this other stuff, and sometimes it's like, no, actually, I just have to replace a file here and there, and we're good. That's it. That's all I got to do. Rename a couple things. But yeah, Bethesda always, wonders why people play this stuff, and then a lot of it comes down to like, yeah, people are just doing insane things from modding. Like, I don't know if anybody's ever gone down the rabbit holes of modding. I have a YouTube channel where I played my modded Skyrim a few times on there. So if you want to go watch some wild shit, go look up at Tyrone Swift TV on YouTube and watch me break Skyrim. Um,
I
but
love
yeah,
seeing
like
some of the mods people have made for these games.
right. Well, it's not even that, right? Like, have you ever seen what's a good one to for now I'm gonna describe some Skyrim modding drama real quick. There was a modding list. If you want to add a bunch of shit to Skyrim and that somebody has curated and made and done all the work for you, there's a place you can go called Wabajack, and it will just upload a mod list for you. Here you go. Have fun. It's a lot all at once, especially if you're not used to it, because it's just like, oh yeah, I have no idea what my buttons even are. This is kind of wild. But there was one list called the Skyrim Ultima list. Now it ultimately fell through. The guy he was altering a list called Nulvis, and he just kind of like added some stuff to it and started doing shit. But the Skyrim Ultima videos are still around. They're still up. If you want to see like how like what has it been now? That was 2011. How 14 years of people just working on mods for that game have come along. Go watch that. It's insane. Um, like it doesn't even look like the same game. There will be times where you're just like, I can't believe this is Skyrim. This doesn't look like Skyrim. This is crazy. I always find that intriguing. But yeah, modding's probably a big reason why people keep coming back to these games because they see videos like that. Those that some of those Ultima videos have millions of viewers. and they see stuff like that and they go, "Whoa, you can do that in Skyrim? How do I do that?" Like I'm constantly on the Skyrim modding Reddit, just seeing people like, "Hey, I seen this and I don't know what I'm doing, but what do I do?" I'm like, well, good luck and Godspeed. There's a lot, but that's probably where it boils down to. And like I said, there's a lot to do in the games, sure, but like, how many times can you run, vanilla Skyrim and go through, the Thieves Guild quest line before you're like, okay, yeah, I get it, Brynwolf, I get it, man. We'll stop the guy. Yeah, no, I know. Yeah, no, I know. Nocturnal. No, yeah, no, be a nightingale. Yep, we're gonna do it. It's great.
I
But
think at
yeah.
least with Skyrim, I never finished any of the others, so I can't really
Mhm.
comment on this, but it's kind of hard to also get over the fact that once you actually finish some of these quests, they kind of
Mhm.
it doesn't really matter that you did it.
No,
Like,
no, you're right.
you become the head of the Mage Guild. They are
Yeah,
all under your thumb.
right?
Does
That's cool, right?
anybody in the world care?
Nope. Nope, they really don't. Well, that's not true. Sometimes a guard will be like, "Oh, you're the guy from the college. Oh man, that's really cool." And then that's it. That's literally it. It would just be like there. But yeah, you would figure some of that stuff would come into play so much more than it actually does, right? And that I think is a huge flaw of the game. That is one thing that if it's not an if when they make the next Elder Scrolls game, I think they should really look into something like that, because you're absolutely right. Sure, you're a nightingale, you're the head of the Thieves Guild. That's really cool. What benefits does that get you? I
You
don't know. You can do some
assassinated
raid.
the Emperor. What
Yeah,
does it
that's cool,
matter?
right? Does it matter? No, no, it really doesn't. No, it's we can't break the game too much. Yeah, they really should make they really got to work on. And this is a thing that if we talk about their rivals, I would consider their big rival. And now they both work for this. They're both owned by the same mega corporation of Microsoft, but the of Obsidian really goes out of their way to like, hey, we've made this kind of shorter curated thing, but all your choices actually mean something. And that's kind of the Obsidian thing. Fallout New Vegas is well known for that. Funny story, I've never actually played Fallout New Vegas.
Oh, that's my favorite thing ever released by Bethesda was New
oh
Vegas.
I
I love
was
it.
it well, it was released by them, but Obsidian made it.
Yeah,
Obsidian was the ones that did that.
yeah. They just know they
And-
use their engine and
yes,
they
they
own the
used all
rights
the
to the
stuff.
Fallout IP.
Yeah, pretty much.
And got screwed over by bad contracts, but that's another story.
That's another story. Yeah, no, I know. And it's funny now that, like I said, they work under Microsoft, and I'm like, you guys are right there. Can you just, do something with that? Anything? No. Okay,
I don't
great,
think any
cool.
of the original Obsidian teams even there anymore, so I don't think it matter.
No, but the philosophy's there, right? They still make those kind of games, and they're very good at, kind of what we've been talking about, making your decisions matter, because that is a huge flaw in Skyrim. Yeah, there are decisions, but like, okay, like we were talking about Sadia earlier. Okay, so let's say I get Sadia arrested. What's the bigger thing? I guess Sadia goes away. That's it. Like, that's really it. Do you want Sadia to be at the end? Kill these guys. That's really the consequence of your action. And what does she have anything else for you? She's maybe a little nicer to you. Who cares? Like that, none of that matters, right? They really, and when they make I hope they take some of that in, like some of those influences in of like, oh yeah, like your decisions should mean something. They should have a greater effect on the world instead of just being like, yeah, you're the head of this thing now. That's cool, right? Yeah, I mean, it is cool. What can I do with that? Maybe you'll get a discount at the shop. I don't know. They got to think of something better, right?
Something that is
Right
kind of
there
funny
with it.
now thinking about, though. Just imagine the sheer balls of some of these random no names in town. Like, oh yeah, you're the head of the Mage Guild. I really need someone to come chop some lumber for me. You got some free
Right?
time?
Honestly, that would be really funny. I'd get really into that. It'd be like, hey, look, I know you're the head of the Mage Guild, but I really need some fucking wood right now. Okay, if you got the time, or are you carrying some? Great, awesome, cool. I'll buy it off you.
I just love if you had the response of just the audacity in the dialogue options.
That would be great. I would love to like have role playing options. Like you built this open. They're good at making an open world for the most part. I mean, yeah, I'm gonna sound like I keep shitting on Starfield. Starfield's biggest problem is they were like, we're really good at making open worlds. What if we made like 20 of them? And you're like, okay, but are they interesting at least? No. There's like one town in each, maybe one town in each of them. Most of them are, just land. Okay, great.
Look,
guys,
I might get a lot of Elder Scrolls fans shitting on me for this one, but they struggled to make one area that interesting. They kind of do it. It works. Maybe don't push the boundaries here.
Yeah, depends. I think, so, like I said, when they get their environmental storytelling right, they do a good job. But sometimes, like I said, it's just like, oh, it's I don't know. There's a bunch of skeletons in this room. Okay, yeah, I get it. People died here. Cool, great. All right, let's move on. They're especially Fallout's always hilarious to me. Like you walk into a house and there's a skeleton in a bathtub. Oh, and okay.
Did no one think to clean that out in like the last couple months? People have been living here for a bit.
We're all very busy. We're all, who has the time? There's schools around, man. All this radiation. It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing right now. We just can't do it. But no, like when they get that stuff right, when like some of their best ones are just like the ones where like the more you think about it, the more wild it is, or the more of a mystery it unlocks. And can't remember where exactly this is. I want to say it's in the Dragonborn DLC, which I have a confession to make. I've never actually finished it.
I actually have. It's okay.
Nice. Yeah. I've never actually finished the Dragonborn DLC. I finished Dawnguard a few times, but yeah, never finished the Dragonborn one. There's a place I think that's on Solstheim, and it's just like a house, and you go in it, and I believe it has a basement or something like that, and there's a sound effect that it plays. And it's one of those things that like you'd never, if you're just kind of going through looting what you can. There's like a dude that's dead. You don't know why he's dead, and there's just this like hum, and it is a unique sound effect if I remember correctly, and it only plays there, and so and stuff like that's really kind of cool, right? Where it's just like, was okay, so the sound has some sort of effect, and where did it come from? And again, this is, I believe, a Camel video that I picked up on some of this stuff from. It's just like, yeah, actually, this sound effect is similar to this other thing in Oblivion that caused all these people to do this and all this other stuff. And it's like, stuff like that's really cool when you really expand your world with it. But a lot of times it's just like, I don't know, we put a guy up here, and he had a tough time and he's dead now. Don't worry about it. It's a lot of that too. I feel like some of their towns are, I love Riften. I think it could have been a little bit more, but you also have to take into account, when the game was made. Making something that big at that time back in 2011 was, a lot. It was, the best we could do at the time. Really, like maybe, I don't know. When you think of, big open world games like that, I guess.
I think they could have stood to trim a little bit. Like, did we really need that one Falkreath?
Falkreath.
You just get a letter from this guy like, hey, I'm the Jarl, come do stuff for me. Cool, have a house here. Why?
Yeah. I believe Falkreath is mostly there for the Hearthfires DLC. There's a couple quests in it that relate to the Daedric Prince Hircine, I believe, with like werewolves and stuff like that. But like, yeah, you're
there.
Yeah, no. Other than that, no. It's yeah, no. But at the same time, I would like to give the overall map of Skyrim credit as somebody I know a lot of the roads. It's funny because Falkreath is like one of the places. if on one of the streams that I did that's on YouTube, I get so lost on the road of Falkreath. I'm like, right, what way do I go from here? I always forget because I don't go there very often. There's like you said, there's no real reason to. But when you really like stop and like actually start traveling the roads, they kind of split it up pretty well. Where it's just like, yeah, you're going for a while, and then there's like a civilization here, and then you're going for a while, and then a little civilization here. Sometimes it's a town, sometimes it's a little inn. They do split that stuff up well. Does all of it need to be there? Maybe not, but at the same time, it adds something. You know, it makes it feel lived in a little bit.
I definitely think Skyrim did a better job with like spacing everything out than say Fallout 4 did.
Oh yeah,
where everything felt so condensed in 4.
Yes,
like
yes.
Here's a building of super mutants. Oh, and there's the bandits who are. I can literally see them looking out this window. How have they not murdered each other yet?
Fallout 4 is. I don't hate Fallout 4. A lot of people. Yeah, no. All the civilization is. I know what they're going for, right? Like they were like, okay, you're in Boston, and this is where Boston is, and this is where all the stuff is. So this is how the city's built. We want to be accurate to that. Let's make it like, okay, if Boston would have got bombed around this time, it would look like this, and this is where all the people would probably be hiding out. But you're right. Everything's in one spot. And civilization wise, right? Their big thing with that was like, well, you have to go rebuild the civilization. Another settlement needs your help. So yeah.
I guess that settlement's dying because this settlement building mechanics are god awful.
It's funny. That's another game I got into modding for a little bit. Not as much as Skyrim, but my favorite mod that came out when I was modding that was called Sim Settlements. And all it did was like, hey, if you just put these resources in this machine, the people will just build it themselves. And I was like, oh, thank Christ. Okay. Oh, good. All right, great. This, and they would build like these really elaborate, cool ones. And it was really nice. I was like, why couldn't we just do this? Like, this is fine. Like, yeah, just give them all the stuff to build that you've scavenged out and on the way, and they'll do it themselves. And it was fun, and it was a slow progression as well. So like you would deposit all the stuff, leave for a while, and then like, you know, while you're out, just kind of make your way back, and all of a sudden it would be like a little bit bigger every time. It was really neat how they did it. I was like, why didn't they just do this? This would have been great.
I mean, I wish they just like let you go out of the first person mode. Like, just give me a top down view for when I'm building the settlement.
That would be nice.
Me just build it like any other game would, and not make half the stuff weird ledges that I can't actually put anything on.
Oh yeah, it's a mess. I've done my fair share of settlement building, but I was never very good at it. Listen, I'm a big Sims player, so I'll do stuff like that I find it relaxing, but at the same time, the actual building sometimes of that stuff is very clunky, but apparently it just works. So don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Todd has gotten away with saying so much weird stuff over the years. I love the internet's just decided his theme song is "Sweet Little Lies."
Yeah, right. It's something.
I mean, I can't even get mad at him though.
No, you really can't. And Bethesda tries their best. I think Skyrim was the one game where like they did a good job, and they haven't really been able to match it. They did a fine job. Like I have my qualms about Skyrim, right? I always will. It's a very imperfect game, but like, there's some stuff, right? There's some stuff in all of them, but they've never been able, like, it feels like they've been floundering ever since. I mean, Fallout 4 was fine. I don't hate it as much as a lot of other people do. I find a decent amount of entertainment in there. Starfield, they tried something. They wanted to make a space game, and they went. I didn't. Again, I'm not. I sound like a huge hater of that game. I really didn't mind it, but like at the same time, like it could have been better. Let's be real. It makes me worried, like where they're gonna go for something like 6. I'm very curious. I'm curious what lessons they'll learn. That's my biggest. Will they go too big this time, or will they just do the Bethesda game again? Because I feel like people have caught on to the Bethesda game, right? If they release a game now and it's a buggy mess, people are gonna go, dude, what the fuck? Like, you should know by now how to not make it bad. So they can't get away with that. They can't keep getting away with it. They just can't keep getting away with it, but they might. My
Oh no,
theory
they
is
kind of
someday.
famously just let the players fix the games for them.
Yeah, yeah, and that's and
I've never been okay with that from Bethesda, but
yeah, they do. They'll to some degree. I think that's neat, right? But especially Skyrim's been out forever, and sure you have the unofficial patch, which that's a big paid modding thing, right? People are really afraid that the guy that makes the unofficial patch might go because he's a big Bethesda guy. He will defend them at any cost, and they're afraid that like if this guy starts moves like the unofficial Skyrim patch over it and makes us pay for it, what are we gonna do? Like, because that would be not great. That guy is a dick, and I could definitely see him doing it. Um, not a big fan of them, but yeah, it's a whole thing. It's there's, but yeah, I don't know. Skyrim as a whole, I like it. I do. I know it very intimately. It's very relaxing to me. It's one of those things where like if I just want to shut my brain off and just go in and do some dumb stuff, I know Bleak Falls Barrow so well. It's insane. I know I always forget the name of it. There's a little mine off the road to Riverwood. Can't remember the exact name, but it's actually really funny. If you're going from the intro, so the intro stops when you get out of that cave, right? Go down the road to Riverwood. There's the standing stones. They introduce you to that concept where you get little buffs and stuff. Rayloff or Hadvar tell you, oh yeah, you're this. That's cool. Or hey, you're a thief. Oh, that sucks. Whatever. And then you go down the road and he tells you at one point because they kind of half expect you to just be like, all right, I'm just gonna go in the opposite direction of this guy, and that's kind of what people do in these games a lot of time. But if you follow him, he has a bunch of dialogue and tells you on the way. But one little fun thing is like you can cut off to the side and there's a mine right there.
Ember
And
Shard
it's made
mine?
as it might be Ember Shard. Yeah, now that I think about it. I think you're right. I think it's Ember Shard. Couldn't remember the name of it. You cut off to the side there, and it's just a little shitty bandit dungeon. There isn't much there. There's just some bandits there, and you beat them all up, you kill them. And as soon as you exit it, it's like they almost expected you to go through Ember Shard because if you time it, it'll time it just right to where he'll Hadbar or Rayloff, whoever you're following, will be right there when you get out of the exit, and they'll be right in town, and everything kicks off just like it's supposed to. And it always cracks me up. I'm just like, oh, they knew you were gonna just take that little side path over.
I mean, they hit me dead to rights because I did.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's like, hold on, Hadbar. I know you got some interesting things to say, but I'm gonna go over here and do this. I know that mine like the back of my hand because I always that's actually how I was testing combat mods for a little while. I was just like, just go through Ember Shard, just blow through it real quick, and I know the fights well enough to where I can tell if something's wrong. And then there's what's the one other? I know all the ones around Whiterun. There's there's the Valtheim Towers. That's one of my favorite ones. It's just a little like bandit outpost down the road, and it's this tower, and then there's a bridge that goes across it, and there's another tower on the other end. I love that place. I love stealth in those games because it's not great, but it's just stupid enough. Like I love a dumb stealth, right? Just because like again, I love to just turn my brain off and just like what's the canon way to just stealth my archer way my through this whole thing and just do it. And sometimes it's harder than others, and then usually I end up getting I'm like, all right, well, I guess I got. But yeah, like it's a perfect like dumb turn my brain off. Don't really have to think about it too much. Are all the characters super interesting? No. Everybody hates Nazim. I don't. I find him great. He's right. I don't get to the Cloud District very often. What do I have to I don't have a reason to go there. He's better than me. I'm aware. There's so many little characters, and some of them have like little dumb stories. Like, there's the one girl in Whiterun who I always I always end up marrying her somehow. What's her name? Redheaded girl. I'm so bad with
Yolanda?
names when not Yolanda.
I think
Oh,
like Yolanda.
you're close though. You got it. It's Ysolda. Ysolda. The yes. She's trying to become a merchant. She needs a mammoth tusk.
And then
Okay.
you can marry her.
Yeah, yes. But the other thing about her though, you can marry her, and if you go to there's an, I believe it's called the Sleeping Tree, and it's just like this little unique location, and there's a whole thing around the Sleeping Tree too. That's one of those environmental storytelling, deep dive type of things. But you can get this stuff called Sleeping Tree sap there, and there's like you can find a dead Khajiit there, and he has a note to Ysolda about how he's getting this sap for her. So Ysolda's a fucking drug dealer. But they don't come out and tell you that. You have to go like figure this out, and she never gives you any indication. You can go and confront her about it, and she'll be like, "All right, yeah, you're right. Listen, keep this shit on the down low. All right, you get me any of this sleeping tree sap, yo, I'll pay you fucking good money for it, even if you're married to her." You're like, "All right, cool. I guess I'm dealing drugs with Ysolda now.
I
Whatever."
completely missed that one.
Yeah, that's a real thing. That's a vanilla thing. There's a lot of
Yeah.
little dumb shit like that. The more you look into it, there's also like weird cut content that it's funny because people will complain about cut content, and sometimes if you mod it back in, you realize why it got cut because it's kind of annoying. Like, here's one thing a lot of people don't know: when you buy the first house there, which is Breeze Home in Whiterun. It's usually the first house you can get. They give it to you. You don't get it. They don't give it to you. You have to buy it. But like that's the first one on offer usually because you become Thane of Whiterun like because you drank coffee in the vicinity of the Jarl. So whatever. You're Thane now. Don't worry about it. So you can get you can basically become Thane and get this house. A cut content thing, and what's funny is I accidentally modded it back in. Some mod just like randomly left it in one time, and I was like, what the fuck is going on here? I've never seen this. So one cut content thing is when you would buy Breeze Home in some version of the game, you would go in there and there would just be a dude in there. And you'd be like, who the fuck are you? And he'd be like, yo, I've been living here for like years. Yeah, I didn't buy it, but nobody else was living here. So what are you going to do about it? By right, I live here now. And you're like, you're like, okay, man, it's a problem. I just paid money for this. Hold on. All right, let's go. Then it has you go talk to the guy you bought the house from. He's like, okay, look, we'll take care of it. And then they send guards there and escort him out. And then he just becomes a homeless man in Whiterun and just fucking like is giving you shit the whole time. It's like I understand why they cut that because it kind of makes you feel bad. You're like, is there any way I could have just had him like take up the spare bedroom? Like, what am I doing with that, right?
I could use a house, Carl.
Yeah.
We don't need Lydia.
Lydia's here too. She's trying her best. Oh, Lydia.
I kind of wish they kept that in.
I know, right? It's kind of fun, but at the same time, like, I can see why they cut it. But it is like, it's kind of a hold. I know why. The other reason they cut it was like getting the guard in there to do the stuff and like all this. It was a lot going on, and like sometimes it would kind of bug out. But that's because it was cut. It wasn't fully realized. It was a whole thing. But yeah, like there's some stuff. Apparently, there was supposed to be a fighting arena in Hamm that got cut. Some weird stuff like that. Skyrim is Skyrim. It's one of those games that like I just played it a lot earlier this year because I was, putting mods in it. I'm running a crazy ass list, and give me another year or two and I'll probably go back and do it again. There's always something about it, and it's not the game itself. It's the community making all this stuff like you become your own game dev. It's funny. I've always found like Skyrim as a world a little generic, and that sounds harsh. Like it's just like it's fantasy Norway or whatever. This Viking stuff, right? It's very evocative of that. That's fine, but at the same time, it's a little generic to me. But the fact that it is so generic allows you to kind of like make it anything. When you're on the modding end of things. So it adds a little flair to it for me. Where I'm just like, yeah, it's a generic little fantasy world, but like, what if I added these like this weird town over here and this like floating island and shit? Like that's cool, right? Like it's kind of like build your own video game to some degree, and like I'll just sit there and do that for hours, and then go run around, take the my favorite walk, take the walk from Whiterun to Solitude, and then watch the guy get his head chopped off and be like, okay, time to start a new game. That's fun. These are the types of things I do. It's relaxing to me. Like it's comfort food. It is the ultimate comfort food game for me. And I never thought I would say that about that game because, like I said at the beginning of this podcast, I was like, when I first played Skyrim, I wasn't that high on it. It cut out a bunch of stuff that I really liked of the Elder Scrolls games. But like slowly over time, I've just been like, yeah, but now I can just put it back in because it's been out for 14 years and people were just like, yeah, we missed that stuff too. Let's add it back in. And that's Skyrim to me. It's a game that I like and both have very serious criticisms of. And that's kind of where I fall on it.
See, I don't think I ever would have played Skyrim had another friend of mine not convinced me to give Fallout 3 a try. Because I didn't care.
Fallout 3 is a good one.
Oh, it was, but yeah, because I never cared for the Bethesda formula, as I mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
But I did end up playing Skyrim. I don't think my thoughts have really changed much. Like, it's good. I enjoy it. I'll say my favorite way I found to play was one day I just looked at the Khajiit. I was like, okay, I want none of the Khajiit natural bonuses. I'm going to make a heavy armored Khajiit that's just going to punch everything to death.
Yes.
And I punched out the first dragon in like 30 seconds.
Right. Yes. See, that is one of the and I'll be critical of the systems in Skyrim being, like a little like, I want to pick a class and have to, build around that. But to their credit, they realize that like, oh, people just want to kind of do whatever and we want to reward them for that. Now, there's problems with that too, where like, okay, every chest is locked, so I have to unlock. So now I'm leveling up my lock picking skill at all times, and I'm gaining levels that I don't need because of this damn lock picking skill. Like so stuff like that. It has its quirks, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, if hey, you want to make a Khajiit in heavy armor, that's cool. Do you want to make like a orc thief? Fucking go for it, man. Do what you want to do.
Might take a little more effort, but.
It'll take a little more effort, but it'll pan out. Like it all evens out in the end, It might take you a little more time to get there, but hey, you'll be really good at two-handed for no reason. Why not? That's fine. It's a very interesting game. Could it be better? Oh, absolutely, it could have been better. But at the same time, it's kind of an all-timer for a reason, I guess. It's strange.
I will say I'm half expecting whenever we do get the next Elder Scrolls, it's gonna load up and it's just going to be Skyrim again. They've re-released Skyrim so many times. Why not?
Why not? Why not?
That was actually one of my favorite things I've ever heard Todd Howard say when someone asked him, like, why do you keep re-releasing Skyrim? And he just straight up said, people keep buying it.
People keep buying it, yeah.
Wow.
Why not?
I mean, I should be angry at that answer.
You should, but at the same time, he's not wrong. Yeah, that's the whole thing. Yeah, he's not wrong. People, it's crazy to me how many people you would think by now that game's been out so long, has such a large following. People bought millions of copies. I have a friend that I work with who was like, I just bought Skyrim for the first time. I was like, You've never played Skyrim before? He's like, no, actually, I've never played it before. I bought it on his Switch. I'm like, well, hey, man, that's cool.
Oh, God, that did come out on Switch too, didn't it?
Yes, it did. Yeah, he was like, yeah, I've never played it before. Why not? I know I'll spend a ton of time doing it. I'm like, yeah, set some time aside if you're gonna get into it. It's amazing, right? Like, and that's another thing. Yeah, new systems are gonna keep coming out. New consoles are gonna come out. New stuff's gonna come out all the time. So yeah, let's put Skyrim out there. People will want it on that too, probably. Why not?
I'll also give Skyrim this. I like that every so often there's just this weird random that so many people have experienced in the game that doesn't sound like it should be a universal thing.
Yes.
My absolute favorite is I got on my very first character. I think I was like dragon armor, one sword, summon. I got to the point I like would fight the giants. They'd hit me, knock me in the sky. You barely see my health tank down. Like, all right, this is cool. Yeah. And then there's just this random river. It's like on that mountain the Greybeards are on, and there's a log over the river. There's this dude on there. He shoots me with a bow, and a quarter of my health is gone. I'm like, who is this asshole? Yeah. So many people have come across this guy, and he just fucks everyone up for no reason. Nice. He's just here on a random log. He has no name. He doesn't have gear worth getting. Oh, yeah. He's just some asshole on a log in the middle of nowhere. Yeah. Why wouldn't that's his log. Why are you on his log? Don't fuck with that. You know? I'm not going to mess with a man on a log. It's crazy. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Yeah, that's kind of the thing, right? You know, like in a game like that, occasionally you're just gonna have weird, off the wall occasions because like the game is like it's not broken; it runs fine. I mean, it's a little buggy here and there, and sometimes sometimes the bugs are the best part. Every now and then, it's stupid, but it's kind of true. That's video games. Video games are fun, but yeah, good old Skyrim. What else? I don't know. Like, I think we pretty much largely agree on everything Skyrim related, for the most part. Just about, yeah. And I wasn't sure. I wasn't. No idea how he's going to approach this thing, but like, I know how I am going to. I'm a man very much in the middle on most things, and I can see both sides of everything. I'm not a good arguer because most of the time I'm like, yeah, no, you're right. That is a valid criticism you have there. So yeah. And yeah, that's especially like as much as I like Skyrim, I absolutely can see the flaws, and I absolutely could see if somebody didn't like it. It's a whole thing, and I can also see the opposite, right? I can see why people love it. Like myself, I enjoy that game, but on a very comfort food level. So yeah, I guess then it's a good time to wrap up our talk about Skyrim. All right, that sounds good to me. This should be coming out after I upload talking with Jillian. Yeah. Jillian? Julian. Julian, I'm like, Jillian, that's... I mean, he'll eventually hear how I got his name wrong when this goes up. It'll be fine. Thanks for coming in. Oh, everyone, thank you. Thank you for having me. Everyone, go check out Stage Select. It's a lot of fun. Okay, I'm going to have to admit this. I thought I'd listen to your guys' show for the longest time until I realized I was actually listening to Still Loading. Like, oh shit, I never actually listened to this show. Nice. I think that's why I kept trying to call you Still Loading when I talked to both of you. No worries. I don't even know what that is, so no harm, no foul, man. He was another guy who showed up on A Gamer Looks at 40 shows. Gotcha. I got some wires crossed and mixed you up in my head. Like, I thought I was listening to you guys for months. No worries, man. Who are you people now that I've actually clicked on this show? There's a lot of podcasts, man. There's a lot. You can. Did you know? I don't know if you knew this. You can just buy a mic and talk in it, and sometimes people will listen to you. It's crazy. I'm blown away by it all the time. I'm just like, wow, crazy. It's weird. The stuff people might listen to online sometimes. Right? Oh boy.